Hi everyone. I'm a little bit glammed up today because we're going out for Ollie's birthday this evening. Before we went, I wanted to share with you something that occurred to me this week. We were talking about, my Ollie and I, funnily enough, with it being his birthday, Ollie and I were talking about how there is enormous power in being uncomfortable. And there is a lot that you can learn from it. As many of you know, I had a little bit of surgery, just minor surgery, week before last, and it could be serious, but it could not be, and I'm waiting for the results of that. And that's an uncomfortable thing to go through. That is something that's been challenging for me this last week, and it's brought up lots of uncomfortable feelings for me. And in the past, what I would have done is I would have eaten, most definitely would I have eaten. And on the first day when I got back from the GP and I realised this could be a little bit more serious than I thought, I went straight to the chocolate cupboard and I opened it up and God, doesn't that say something about me that I have a chocolate cupboard? It's actually a part of the cupboard where the chocolate lives. I hope it didn't sound as bad as it did, didn't it? Let's not beat around the bush. It sounded really bad, and that's fine because I went straight to the chocolate cupboard and I had some, and I said to the kids either side of me, "Do not judge me. I'm having chocolate." And funnily enough, Ollie actually said to me, "Mum, if you can't have chocolate on a day like today, when can you have it?" Which is kind of true. My point being that I was able to stop. And I was able to stop because whereas in the past I would have just continued and continued and continued, numb down, difficult feeling, oh, I'm feeling that difficult feeling again, numb it down, eat some more, squash those feelings down. I didn't do that this time, and the reason I didn't do it was I just sat with the uncomfortable feelings, and it was really hard at times. So I've had to learn over the years other ways of managing those uncomfortable feelings as they rise up. In ways that are more in accord with my long-term goal of staying slim. And here I am actually in a dress that I wore 2 years ago for my 25th wedding anniversary when Bruce and I went away to Granada. So I am doing it, and I do remind myself of that repeatedly, although it is difficult sometimes, and there are times when I do go to the chocolate cupboard, like I've just explained. I am still doing it. And the reason I'm still managing to maintain is because when I have those difficult times, what I do is I manage it in other ways. So I do things like this week I've been knitting lots. I've been doing a little bit more of my yoga and my meditation. I've been actually spending time just looking after me this week. One of the ways I did cope in the past was keep busy. And that's a really useful tool. But eventually what happens with me is I just get completely worn out and burnt out. And I knew that there was a risk that I might do that. And I knew also that I was going to be very tired because I'm now healing up from the little bit of surgery that I've had done, and also coming to terms with everything that may or may not happen now. But the point is that I've had to learn other ways to manage that stress and to manage without the food and without burning myself out by keeping too busy. So for instance, this week, one of the things I've not done, you may have noticed, is I haven't done your newsletter. It's sort of half done, and I could have spent the whole of yesterday finishing it all off, but I knew that what I actually needed was just to rest, recover, help my wound to heal, help up here to get to terms with what's happened, and just look after myself. And self-care is so important. The conversation I had with Ollie about facing those uncomfortable feelings rather than blocking them all out was so interesting, because he said that what started off his thinking about the importance of being uncomfortable and not just blocking it out was when he came across a YouTube video. I think they're based in America. I can't remember the name of them, and I should have asked him before I started this. But it's basically a group of people who go out of their way to feel uncomfortable, make themselves feel uncomfortable. I don't mean in pain, but they do things that challenge them and take themselves outside of their comfort zone, because they believe that that's when they most learn and grow. And so Ollie decided he was going to take this interesting concept and examine it for himself. And so whilst he was up at Leeds Uni, he asked himself, what is it that I find really uncomfortable up here? And one of the things that he said he found really uncomfortable was when there's a lot more homeless people up there. And walking past the homeless people is something that makes him feel really, really uncomfortable. So rather than just walking past, pretending it's not happening, or this feels really uncomfortable, make a joke with mates, go and have a drink, or whatever it was, that just squash it down, squash it down, squash it down, he decided to face that feeling head on. And so he thought, right, I'm literally going to face that feeling full on and bring it right here in front of me by and so what he did was he whenever he walks past someone who's homeless, he goes straight into the nearest co-op or whatever, buys them a sandwich, turns around, goes back to them, gives them the sandwich, and strikes up a conversation. So literally facing that discomfort head on. When he told me this, you can imagine my reaction as his mum was enormous pride that he would do something like that. I was so chuffed for him that he could A, be so caring, and B, challenge himself in that way. And he said to me that the more he's done it, I don't think he does it with every homeless person he walks past, but whenever he goes out and if he passes someone, he will do this. And he said to begin with it was excruciatingly difficult, and every bone in his body did not want to do what I've just described to you. But he said that the more he did it, the easier and easier it got, and the more and more he was able to do it. And actually he's learnt an awful lot about himself by facing that. He was facing the discomfort that he felt inside himself, that he wasn't actually doing something to help these people. Well, guess what? By facing it, he now is. And I thought, as we were talking, this is just what dieting is like, just what losing weight's like, just what maintaining is like. It's facing the things that make you feel uncomfortable, and then what have you got to learn about this? What message are you getting from this? So me, with my wanting to eat and wanting to keep busy because of this diagnosis, or potential diagnosis, or whatever's going on with me, okay, well, I've just got to sit and think, how does that feel, and how am I going to deal with that without being unhealthy? And that, in a nutshell, is why 5 years into maintaining, I'm in a dress that I was wearing 2 years ago, and I am maintaining because I'm facing these daily challenges, weekly challenges, sometimes more acute than others, but I'm not squashing stuff down with the food. That's the message I wanted to share with you all. Have a great weekend.